Very good morning, cadets. Hope you are all doing well, and I trust and believe that you have gone through the previous video sessions related to the keynotes of various chapters. Today, let us study about, or let us discuss about the keynotes related to the chapter number 7 from history: tribes, nomads, and settled communities. During the medieval age, several social, economic, and political development took place. That is, we discussed in detail that socio-economic changes took place in the medieval Indian history, definitely resulted in changes in the society. The Indian society was divided on the basis of Varnas. What is the second part? So, Indian society was divided into on the basis of Varna. The Varna system is nothing but division of people on the basis of caste, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. During the Middle Age, the gap between rich and poor increased. So, if you refer Rig Vedic period, during Rig Vedic period, the Varna system was not so purely based on the birth, but slowly the Varna system started taking a lot of importance on the basis of birth. There were, however, several communities which did not follow rules laid down by the Brahmins. These includes tribes, nomads, and settled communities. So whenever we speak about the caste hierarchy, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, or this caste hierarchy, there are few communities in Indian society. They were away from the system of caste. Who are those community? Tribes, nomads, and settled communities. Let us study about tribal societies. Tribes are people who do not follow norms laid down by the society. The tribal group are those who live in forest area and they have their own the system of society, or they have their own system. Most of the tribes were dependent on agriculture. Others were herders, that is animal herders, and hunter gatherers, which I told you. Hunter gatherer, those who hunt animals for the purpose of food. Those who gather is nothing but those who gather forest products. For example, honey, they sell honey or other forest products for their livelihood. So, most of the tribals, they are dependent on agriculture or animal herders, pastoral or hunter gatherers. There were even clash between tribes and powerful caste based society. So it is very, very common that clash between various tribal groups and the caste based societies. It was a common occurrence. Contemporary historians and travelers from the medieval India hardly gave any information about tribes. So whenever we study about inscriptions or sources related to the history, most of the information we get about past, that is not about general public or common people. Most of the information is about the king and the kingdom and rules, information related to king. So we hardly get details about the information about tribe. Some of the powerful tribes: Kokar in Punjab, Langas, Arguns, Multans, Gadi shepherds of Himalaya, Koli, Berdas, Gonds of Chhattisgarh, Bhil in the central India. So of course, when I discussed about this particular topic, we discussed in detail about the various tribal groups and their occupation and the area or the state where the tribal community is located. That means most of the tribals are seen in the tribal states of India. For example, Orissa. Large number of tribal groups are seen in Orissa. Apart from Orissa, of course, almost all the states, one or other tribal groups are commonly found. Now let us study about pastoral nomads. The pastoral nomads, they are pastoral by occupation, but they are nomads, means they move from place to place in search of fodder for their animal. So that is why called pastoral nomads. The pastoral nomads moved from one place to another place with their herd of animals. That herd of animals may be cow, sheep, goat, camel, buffalo. So whatever the animal which is there rearing. They survived on milk products, exchanged ghee, wool, etc. So they survived on what? They survived on milk products, and they exchanged ghee, they exchanged other animal products with the farmers for grain, clothes and utensils. Take for example the pastoral nomads of Maharashtra, Dangars of Maharashtra for example. Dangars, pastoral nomads of Maharashtra, they generally depend on cattle for their livelihood. Since Goa is one such state which generally go for 3 crops in a year, means because of good water source, so they can comfortably grow 3 crops, mainly paddy. So because of that, Dangars of Maharashtra, what they are doing, they take the animals and move towards Goa during summer. So naturally the cattle get fodder to eat. At the same time, these Dangars of Maharashtra, they sell animal products in return to what? In return to grains, clothes and other household materials. The most important traders, nomads were Banjaras. Their caravan is called as Tanda. Tanda is a place where Banjaras, a group of Banjaras stay, that particular area, what we call colony. It's called Tanda. Sultan Alauddin Khilji used Banjaras move grain to the city market. So Alauddin Khilji made use of Banjara community to move grains to the market. Pastoral tribe thus basically reared and sold animals like horses and cattle to the prosperous people. To the rich people, they sold cattle, they sold horses to the rich people. Changes in caste structure of India. In the field of trade and agriculture, there emerged multi-caste population in many villages on account of spread of Islam. So Islam was spreading on account of spreading of Islam, the multi-caste population that grew up because of spreading of Islam. Sufi and Bhakti movement preached equality between different caste and religious group. So this is about the keynotes related to chapter number 7. Chapter number 7. So now let us check chapter number 6. Chapter number 6, Town Traders and Craft Persons. Of course, this video is a revision video about the keynotes for 20th January 2021. One of the most interesting aspects of medieval period in the 17th century was the growth of urbanization. Arabs, Turkish, Afghans settled in many parts of the country, leading to the evolution of the towns and cities. So when towns and cities flourished, at the same time several trading communities started getting prosperous trade. Sources knowing about history of this period. How we come across the history of medieval Indian period. The sources of history are travelers and their accounts. Huyen Tsang, Pahian, several other travelers who visited India, and they wrote about the conditions of those days. So several travelers, they wrote about this particular period, that is especially the medieval Indian period. Court towns. Some important court towns were Lahore, Agra, Fatehpur Sikri and Delhi. Fatehpur Sikri was the new capital founded by Akbar. Delhi was known as Shahjahanabad and built by Shah Jahan in 1639. So Delhi was built by Shah Jahan and it was called as Shahjahanabad in the year 1639. Ports and trading town, seaports. Some towns developed as seaports due to proximity to the seashore. For example, Mangalore, Surat, Madras, Bombay, Calcutta, all they grew as prosperous town because the access to the sea water. That is the reason why the East India Company, English East India Company, French East India Company, Dutch East India Company, they started having trade. Major ports were Cambay, Surat, Bharuch, Masulipatanam and Nagapattinam. So important seaports. Administrative towns. Some towns were capital cities and they were centers of administration. Tanjavur, Uriyur were important centers. So Tanjavur and Uriyur were the important administrative towns. Temple towns and pilgrimage centers. Temple towns were important centers of urbanization and led to the development of cities, economy, and society. So, temple towns were important centers of urbanization and led to the development of cities, economy, and the society. Pilgrims gave huge donation to temples. This wealth was used by temple authorities to finance trade and banking. So trade and banking supported by the donations received by the temples. That's why most of the early towns they are in and around temples. That's what the early towns. Some such important towns were Somnath, Madurai, Tirupati, Vrindavan, and Ajmer. Regarding this, of course, we studied in detail about Somnath, Madurai, Tirupati, Vrindavan, Ajmer. Guys, can you remember the important temples associated with the towns just mentioned here? Then, how important was bronze? Bronze was an alloy compound of mixture of copper and tin. Chola rulers used this metal to make statues through the lost wax technique. Of course, this in detail we studied in chapter number 2. From the 8th century onwards, small towns in India they emerged from large villages. They had mandapika where villages sold their produce, like today what we have got APMC markets. Likewise, there were markets called hatta full of shops. Many villages came to buy local articles and sell products like horses, camphor, saffron, betel nut, spices, salt, etc. Normally, a Samanta was appointed who fortified the palaces and gave the right to collect tax from traders, artisans, etc. Many kinds of traders existed. Traders traveled in caravans by forming guilds. Trade was done on a regular basis within a peninsula and South East Asia and China. Some other important traders were Chettiars, Marwaris, Banjaras. So Chettiars, Marwaris, Banjaras, Bania, Muslims and Boras, the important trading communities. Crafts in town. Craft work was famous by the name of Bidri in the region. Goldsmith, bronzesmith, blacksmith, mason, carpenter were together called as Panchals or Vishwakarma. Some other crafts were cotton cleaning, spinning and dyeing. So this is about the keynotes related to the chapter number 6. Chapter number 6, that is towns, traders and craft persons. Okay, so please write down the points we just mentioned here. And today we completed chapter number 6 and chapter number 7. Chapter number 7 is tribes, nomads and settled communities. Okay, so this video is for 20th January 2021. Take care. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.